Welcome to Hot Flash Chronicles, where midlife is messy, menopause is madness, and we're sweating through it together.
We're Angie and Shelly, two caffeine-fueled, slightly inappropriate grandmas who say what everyone's thinking.
So grab a drink, crank up the AC, and let's dive in.
Angie
Shelly.
I know. You know what that means.
It means it's time for another podcast, another episode of Hot Flash Chronicles.
It is.
I am Angie.
I'm Shelly.
Welcome to today's episode. What are we talking about today, Shell?
I think this one is super fun, and I say that every time.
I think there've been like
Start
where you didn't say it.
What was wrong with me? I wasn't.
Oh, apparently they weren't fun.
They were fun. They were fun, damn it. Actually, I do think this is going to be really fun because it's going to be about something near and dear to both of our hearts. Reality TV.
Can I just sidebar and say that you also say it's something near and dear to our
I'm consistent.
Yes.
And I also can't remember anything I've said 2 minutes.
That's fair. Okay. What are we talking about? Reality TV.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, one of my favorites.
I thought this would be fun because it's such a broad, subject. There's so many different kinds of reality TV. And you and I kind of like different kinds of reality TV. Mm-hmm. You tend to go more like the human romantic condition, or not all of that.
Social interaction, I would say, is, I was a psychology major. I don't know if you knew that. So I was intending on being a counselor. And then I got pregnant and dropped out. But I do use my psychology background a lot in my photography. But I do really enjoy watching human interaction, whether it's a competition thing where there are like cliques and stuff like Big Brother, or dating shows. I love watching. Yeah, I love watching stuff that's like, how are people going to interact with each other? So I'm not really into like Survivor, Amazing Race, or
I like more the ones where they're making more of a connection, not so much a competition.
Right. Or like Married at First Sight. Like, are they going to like each other? Or Love is Blind. Are they going to like each other? Any of those things where it's a question mark whether the people will actually buy into what the experiment is hoping.
I have a friend, I'm going to name drop him here, Greg Paponius. He's from high school. And when we go visit him and his husband in Hawaii, he always watches 90 Day Fiancé. I don't know if you've ever seen
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it. I've watched that with Bethany and Tyson.
I watch it with him. It's like a special thing I like to do when we're over there. And because it's one that I typically don't watch, but it's very much about the connection and is this going to work out?
Right.
And so I think there's that kind of will they or won't they kind of vibe.
Right.
Is it going to be a thing or not? So I tend to like ones that are more, I want to say, crafty, or like I love HGTV, like the home reno shows. That would be
I also love like the Great British Bake Off, right?
Yes, love that one.
I think I've seen like 2 episodes of that.
Oh my God, there's so many years of it you need to catch up on.
I'm almost out of stuff to watch because I've caught up on all the seasons of all my favorites. So
yeah,
I'm definitely looking for recommendations.
Yeah, and maybe you'll get some recommendations out of this. Maybe you,
I hope so.
Our tens of viewers might hear something here and think, oh, I should give that a shot.
So the most recent one that I watched, there are only 3 seasons and each one has either 6 or 7 episodes, is Love on the Spectrum.
Okay.
So
seen that out. Is that on Netflix?
It is. Okay. And if you want to, I'm not going to cry. If you want to restore your faith in humanity, it is just the most beautiful example of how people should treat each other. It is so, it's like somebody on the show said that autistic should stand for authentic.
Yeah.
Or authentic. Yes, authentic isn't a word. But the awe should stand for authentic because they're just a lot of the people on this show, and like through the 3 seasons, they've had people come back because the love connection didn't work out or whatnot. And they have very different levels and strains of autism or like categories. Like one of the guys, to him, colors all have a number. Okay. So he like categorizes things by number. But they're just, one of my favorite things is a lot of the people on the show are just so like transparently fond of themselves.
Yeah.
They're just like, I fancy myself quite a looker. Like, I think I'm very attractive. I better find a mate before I'm not as attractive. And I'm also kind and I'm funny. and I'm really good at going to the zoo.
Yeah.
And they're really authentic with each other. And it's just really, it's beautiful to see that like boiled down version of how we should talk about ourselves and speak to others.
It's interesting because I think we're both married to people that are a little bit, or maybe even more so than a little bit, on the spectrum. My husband, Phil, is actually pretty far over on the spectrum. And he's brilliant with so many things. He's actually a PhD in theoretical physics.
Isn't that what Sheldon was?
Yeah. British Sheldon Cooper. And
British Sheldon
very much has a lot. But the things you're saying about having the confidence, like he is extremely aware of the things that he is very good at. He's also extremely aware of things that he knows maybe aren't his strengths.
Right.
But there's not, I think he's always told me, and I have found this to be true, he can't lie. Like he's not capable. His mind doesn't allow him. He just sees no point in it, I think, is part of it. So I always know that I'm getting the truth. Now, I can lie. Yes, I can. And I try.
She can and she might.
And I will if I need to. It's interesting because I think the ability to lie can be abused, obviously.
Of course.
But I also think there is some reasons why it can be necessary at times. I do think sometimes little white lies and little things to soften, or maybe withholding all the information sometimes is actually appropriate at times. Like I would never do it to like rip off somebody or to do that. But would I do it to soften a blow?
No, I don't harm.
Yeah, I don't.
Intention.
No, but I feel like it's a skill. Like being able to, sometimes if you see somebody struggling, you might not want to hit them with the truth bomb. Like you might want to be able to withhold that. And I think sometimes that is an issue my husband has, is that he doesn't know sometimes that maybe we shouldn't speak the truth right in this moment.
And on this show, there are different levels of, there's higher functioning and lower functioning. And quite a few of the people on the show wind up having their first kiss in their 20s or 30s. And it just like the unabashed emotion that they're willing to show is refreshing. And I literally was just sitting watching it like, this is the sweetest thing I have ever witnessed. It is just such a beautiful thing. And we could all learn something from the people on the show. Highly recommend. I know you said you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Couldn't recommend it.
Watch it out. Phil's talking. He's seen it. He's like, maybe we should watch it. I'm like, maybe
you should. I promise.
It's badass.
I promise you should watch it. It will give you, there's a lot of shit going on in the world right now that is not super wonderful to watch. So this will give you a little reprieve.
Find those moments of hope.
Right. From doom scrolling and hearing all the bullshit that's happening. Yeah. And it will give you just a moment of like the humanness of it and like the boiled down version of just the authenticity. I loved that show. I just watched it last week, but I binged all 3 seasons.
So this one leads, I think, into the British Bake Off because I know, interestingly, we're going to do an interesting jump. Okay. But also, I feel like when you do a competition, especially if you see an American competition show, they're very cutthroat, competitive. It's like, how do you undermine the other person? How do you plot? How do you win? It's all about the win. And the reason I like the British Bake Off is there's a lot of kindness and there's a lot of fairness in that the competition is actually truly friendly. It's a friendly competition, but it's not just friendly, it's supportive. People who
Which is rare.
It is weird, and it's so polite. Like the British people are like, and they're so funny because there's a refinement to British people when they are coming unglued. It's not like when we come unglued. Like us coming unglued,
they're more contained.
It's not pretty. It's not a good, like we might do that for you sometime to show the complete meltdown.
Really?
Maybe.
Okay.
That might be an extra episode. But
that'll be a Patreon.
Bonus. That'll be a bonus.
If you want to
that'll be not safe for work because there'll be a lot of guesses.
Shelly and Angie unhinged.
Unhinged.
Our Patreon.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like a promo.
That it could happen. But so this is a more dignified and way that they melt down. Like they'll say something like, their thing will fall off onto the floor and all the muffins roll out onto the floor and they're all ruined. And it's 10 minutes before you're supposed to be putting them on the plate. And the other people will run over and try to help them and see if they can salvage anything. Like other people will drop their stuff and go help them. And then that will show them in the little interview and they'll be like, I was so gutted. I thought that I was going to actually not be able to function anymore. But somehow it all worked out and it was just fine. And that's like, I was gutted. I'm like, were you? Because
were you gutted?
You feel like you're doing good to me. You seem fine. So there's just that sense of wanting everybody to make it to the end. And of course, yes, all these people want to win. They want to be the one that gets literally.
But you want to win by your best being the best, not because somebody else fucked up.
Right. Yes.
Right?
You don't want to win the Olympics because all the ice skaters in front of you tripped and fell over one guy and then you got to skate by. That happened one time. I always think of that. It's like, that's not how I want to win something. I want to win on my own merit. And that's what they want to win on their own merit. They don't need to put anybody else down or try to, make it put obstacles up for other people. They don't do that. They just do their best. And I feel like there's a lot to learn from that. And in the end, when they pick the winner, there's 3 finalists. The other people are always so gracious and kind, and they're like, so-and-so absolutely deserved it.
Yeah.
They're like, I did a great job. I'm really proud of how far I made it, but so-and-so really.
I love that.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's good to see fair play and good sportsmanship.
So one of the other shows that I like that's a dating show is like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. And something that I have found so interesting is in the last year or two, they launched the Golden Bachelor, the Golden Bachelorette. So these are people that are more in our age bracket. Right. So you have people from their 50s to their 80s in this show. And what a difference in the whole vibe of the villa when you have a bunch of women or men who are in their, older, mature. Yeah. Instead, they're not catty. They're not competitive. They're super kind and supportive of each other. Mm-hmm. They're very much like they're very family focused. They're trying to look perfect. They're connecting on deeper topics like the loss of a loved one, or going through cancer or something like that.
Because they've had life.
Right, exactly. And it was the first season that I watched because they've had one of the Golden Bachelor and one of the Golden Bachelorette. I just thought it was so interesting how different the suitors behaved when they were in their 50s, 60s,
Did
70s.
they still go to the bounce?
They did still go to the fantasy suites. They did.
Is there like just candy bowls full of Viagra in there or what? I'm just asking for a friend.
You're going on the Golden Bachelor.
I'll talk to Phil.
Okay.
And see if maybe
you're supposed to do it if you're married.
Oh, well, that's where my lying can come in. It wouldn't be to hurt anybody. No,
she'll just lie.
A little.
Yeah.
A little white lie. Are you married? No. That's a small 2-letter answer. No. So,
Laura.
But, okay, interesting, but totally makes sense.
Yeah.
That there would be a different vibe. Maybe I'd be more interested in watching that. A few years ago, when I was actually staying at your house.
Yeah.
It was about 10 years ago. We were watching the
Juan Pablo.
Juan Pablo, yeah. And I was like, this is such the girls were, to me, it was so, like, those are not people I would want to meet or know or be friends with.
I think they've had more successful marriages on Big Brother. Biggest Loser had a lot of successful, because they've had more successful relationships than on The Bachelor. Because wouldn't you feel like, so if you were The Bachelor or you were on The Bachelor and there's one dude and like 30 chicks, wouldn't you feel like there would always be a hierarchy in your relationship? Like even 10, 15 years down the road, well, I picked you. Like, you should be so blessed. Like, I feel like there's no way that you could completely eliminate the fact that they are the one that chose you and that they hold more cards because of that. Maybe that's just me being like little.
No, I think that would be kind of
I feel like that would be hard to get over. Like, well, I know you slept with Julie and Rebecca in the fantasy suites, but and that's the other thing, like 3 days in a row, like knowing what order you are in the fantasy suites. Because if you don't watch Bachelor, Bachelorette, like one of the penultimate dates, there are 3 contestants left. And they each get to go to the fantasy suites overnight with the
so weird to
Bachelor, Bachelorette. Yeah. So it's like, would you want to be the first person, the last person, the middle probably not the middle person.
I feel like I'd want to be first because I don't want to have to try to overachieve at the end and leave a really good impression. I want to set that bar low.
You want the first impression, not the last.
I just want to be myself, and it's going to be take it or leave it. I don't want to feel like I'm competing, so I'd want to go first and get it over with. But of course,
it's such an interesting.
Yeah, that's also
but there
weird.
haven't been. So anytime I watch a new season, I always look up like, how did they didn't work out? Yeah, it didn't work out. It's too bad. And it's like we sit and we're so invested on Jen finding love, and then you find out that the guy like cheated on her a week later, and it's like. Why was I so invested in this woman?
Well, to me, like that particular show, like maybe the Golden Bachelor, maybe that vibe is different. But the other one just seems like it's a lot of people who want to get famous on TV and they don't give a shit if they end up with somebody or not.
There are people who
I'm going to be mean and kidding these girls and I'm going to the fantasy suite.
Yes. There are
That's how
people who are professional reality stars.
Oh, sure.
That have done Survivor multiple times, Big Brother multiple times.
That's this 90-day fiancé.
Yeah,
a lot of them have done some other stuff.
Like on The Traitors, which I've talked about on previous episodes, they in the English or the American version, it's all reality stars. So you'll have like a guy from a guy from Survivor, one of the Bachelorettes. You'll have
Big Brother
from Below Deck, and it's interesting because they've a lot, and some of them like the Real Housewives will be like, I've never done a competition reality show. You guys all know how to form alliances and do all this bullshit, but we just like...
I just can't believe that's like people's jobs. Like, I'm mad about that because I think you and I could be reality stars.
Great.
We would be so good. We could bring the drama, the laughter.
That guy Boston Rob, is that his name from Survivor? He actually wrote a book on how to win reality competitions.
Maybe we should get that book, Boston Rob.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we'd be great. I don't think we'd win, but I think we'd be highly entertaining.
Tell yourself short.
Maybe I don't want to win. Maybe I just want to be Boston Rob and write books.
You can get a lot of internet fame. I started after watching the Love on the Spectrum. I went and followed all of the people on Instagram and just to see their reels and like what they. And oh my God, I'm just obsessed with these people. Yeah. One of the gals wrote a song for her boyfriend on their anniversary, and it was so beautiful. It was just like so authentic. Again, I'm going back to that one because I just watched it. I just watched it last week.
Angie's word for the day: authentic. Authenticity is
That's so close to the microphone.
I'm blowing it out. Sorry.
That's definitely going to come across great on audio.
We're tinkering with the new setup here. We're going to see. We'll find out. So
what other shows do you?
I like, and this is probably a psychological thing. I like reno shows, home renovation, HGTV. I love shows where they go into a literal, dilapidated, falling down shithole. That's the only way to say it.
Yeah.
And
there's no sugarcoating.
There's no sugarcoating it. And it often makes you wonder, why don't they just tear this down and build it from the ground up? But a lot of times they're like, we're trying to preserve the history of this town or this style, or so they try to keep as much of the original bones of the thing and build it out from there. But I also like the ones where people have lived like in their house for 30 or 40 years. I just saw one where they had lived there for 30 years and they just need an upgrade. Like all the stuff was from the 80s and 90s. But they were like, oh, but we've raised our children here and this. So there's always like why I like it is there's an emotional tie to your home. Like I think we all feel something about where we live.
Well, a house is different than a home, right?
A house is different than a home. And some people create homes And I have had homes and I've had just houses before because where I've had my kids and where I've raised my kids and done that kind of family stuff, that feels like home. And then there's been times where I've just needed to live somewhere for a year and just rented something and it was a house. So I like that idea of preserving. It's about connection.
Well, people love a transformation and a makeover.
Yes.
We crave watching a transformation and a makeover as humans.
Yep.
Like we want to see something go from here to here.
Yeah, it's just a satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I just like and I like things where they're messy and whatever, and then they get organized. Like those kind of shows because
like the Clutterbug lady. What was that show called?
Marie Kondo?
No, what is her name? Cass? I can't remember what her name is. Anyway.
Now I need to find whatever that show is.
Yeah, there was like the there's all sorts of shows on how to organize things.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
There's one where two ladies, friends, go in and they will reorganize.
I bought their book and then I didn't read it.
And that's what I would do.
Super helpful.
I want to do that in my house. But first of all, A, I'm too lazy and overwhelmed to actually do it. B, I just want to pay someone else to come in and do it. So if you would like to come in.
I know people that are home organizers.
And organize my house and clean it and throw stuff away and make decisions for me so I don't have to. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I just want to walk in and have it be done. So that's why it doesn't happen. But love watching it. It's like cathartic. It's like I feel relaxed by the end of the show. Like, oh, my house is still a shit pile, but God, I feel relaxed.
Yeah.
My shit pile now that I've watched the show where they fixed
Well, it's like a hero's journey, right? Like that's how people crave that in any sort of story where there's somebody who is going through a struggle and then they have a trusted advisor and then they wind up at the end getting the
I get very invested if like something's running because they're on a time frame, like they have 6 weeks. So like sometimes they'll be like, the tile didn't make it. It didn't come in and it's going to be 8 weeks. I'm like, no, how are they going to do it? Not the tile.
They're never within budget.
Their whole design depended on the tile. I get very stressed.
Trading spaces.
Yeah. That
was such a great show.
That was where your neighbor comes in and would do one room in your house. And
it was
you wouldn't know
being put together. Like they kind of definitely cut some.
That was, I think Levi Pennington was originally in that. That's where
yeah.
And then the lady, but your neighbor picked it out. Paige. It was Paige. And you didn't know what your neighbor was going to do. And some of it was good and some of it was not.
Yeah.
And sometimes you could tell that people were like,
no. Have you seen that one where the lady like literally is enraged? Like, stop filming me. Like, this is awful. I can't believe you did this.
Oh, dear.
It's awful. Nope.
Yeah, that would make me uncomfortable. I don't know if I like to watch the ones where they're like, oh, it's beautiful. Thank you. It's lovely. I don't like the ones where it's not well received. That's a little stressful.
But we as humans crave a makeover, a transformation. Like watching that unfold. And that could be in baking or
like, that's why I think people like the glow ups and stuff.
Yeah.
When you watch them on YouTube or TikTok where people just look like us everyday peoples. And then they do all this stuff. And it's a complete transformation to maybe where you can't even recognize them. Now, I like watching it on other people, but I would never be able to have the patience to do all that.
What was that show, What Not to Wear, where they would talk about shopping? That was super fun.
Yeah.
But they had to give up their whole wardrobe? Oof.
Where about all my hoodies? What's going to happen?
All your hoodies are gone. Stacey London's going, out you go.
Then I can't be on. Then you'd see a meltdown. You'd see a hissy fit. It would be of epic proportions. I need my hoodies. Where are they? What's your name?
Stacey London.
Stacey, I will throat punch you. Bring me back my hoodies. Yeah, it wouldn't.
No throat punching. We do not condone violence on Hot Flash Chronicles. Maybe we do.
We don't. We're saying that we don't condone.
Yeah, just for
throat punching. But if somebody takes my hoodie.
For legal reasons, we're saying that we don't condone it.
Right.
Weak.
Yeah.
Weak.
There. Now it's legal. Now it's illegal. So I like those. And sometimes I did at one point like the song competition ones like American Idol
and all those. Yeah.
And then I kind of just got over it.
I get a little over Simon Cowell sometimes. Like it's a little overworn. Like he was on more than what? Like, okay, we get it that you're an asshole.
Crabby and you're mean and whatever. It's like, I guess I'm just mad because I don't get to make money being crabby and mean because I could.
I mean, you could.
I excel at anything I do.
Accurate. That's accurate.
If I
That's
put
a
my
true
mind to
statement.
being crabby.
So if you could be on a reality show,
Mm-hmm.
which one do you think you'd want to be on?
God,
Naked and Afraid. No.
That would make
we
me
have
afraid.
a couple of friends named Bethany and Tyson. They're a couple that we've met through singing. And my husband and I go over there often for dinner, and we always wind up watching reality TV, but it's usually like some sort of natural elements plus a love story, like Love in the Wild, or we've watched Naked and Afraid, or I can't remember.
Like where they just strip you down of all your everyday
Yeah.
and you just
Or like you have to get to the last tribe standing or something.
Yeah.
So we tend to like, we've run out of whichever thing. And Tyson and I think we're hilarious.
I want to be a
Tyson is the male version of me.
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate.
So he and I are just like armchair quarterback, like just
how we
basically roasting what's happening on TV. And then our respective partners are just kind of sitting there, not quite as amused or even mildly amused as Tyson and I. But
there is a show in England, a reality show that does that, where you are with your bestie or your husband or partner or just a friend, and they sit down like 6 different groups, and you all watch the same show, but it shows you making the comments on the show.
Oh my gosh.
So this was the British version, and I can't remember what it's called, but it was the only show that Ethan and I liked when we were in England, because British TV, regular TV, if you're not on like their paid channels, is crap.
Won't they do something where you see like just the guy from the waist down and you have to decide if you want to go on a date with him?
Oh yeah, they have that show.
And I tried to find that one and we couldn't.
Yes. There's one where they're okay.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, sorry, tangent. ADD.
But this show was great because some of them were American reality shows, was what they are watching, and one of them was where the a couple that's engaged, the husband or the husband to be gets to pick out the person's dress and the venue, and it's all a surprise. The bride has no idea what it's going to be. It's delivered to you the morning of the whatever the thing is they picked, and then you get a note saying go here, or there's a limo that picks you up. So this girl and her mom are waiting to get their package, and she opens it up. It's a bikini. That's her.
Whoa.
With a veil. It's
Whoa.
a bikini with a veil. And
have they met her? Have they met each other?
Yeah. They're engaged. Cool. And so they drive to the destination, and it's a hot tub wedding. They're getting married in the hot tub. And
what could go wrong?
This girl is pissed.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
Pissed. And the guy thinks it's funny. And the mom is like,
funny is not a desired outcome for your wedding.
The sidebar, the mom is off. Are you sure you want to go through this? Do you really want to?
I feel like maybe it's
she grabs their flowers. She's like, we're getting married.
Oh my God.
And so all the British people, the 6, they're like, oh, damn, they're all reacting. But that show, and I can't remember what it's called. Maybe one of the 10s, if you watch it, know what this show is worth.
To like, we have a couple hundred listeners now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Okay. Out of the 200 of you, somebody's watched that Trashy
Somebody's
show.
watching
And that hot tub wedding in a bikini, I would come unglued.
And untied, probably.
Well, I just wouldn't be very happy with that. I hope they had a real wedding after. That's on like, oh God, I hope she got a real wedding.
I went to a wedding for a friend of mine who she was married in a bikini, and he arrived it was at their lake house.
Okay.
And he arrived to the dock via wakeboard. And then he wound up picking her up and like jumping into the lake. And I don't think she was thrilled with that. But the other funny thing is they had a bowl at the front, and they said anybody who has John's keys, any women. And they had planted like 30 women to go up and just drop a key in the bowl. Like, it was pretty funny. It was
obviously.
Yeah.
And now that completely fine with that. That
she rocked that bikini.
Yeah, that was obviously their wedding plan. So I love non-traditional weddings. I think that's fun, especially if you're on board. But if you're not, and your husband to be says you're in a bikini at a hot tub wedding, and you aren't on board for that, no, that would be soups uncomfortable.
Yeah. So I interrupted you when I said, what show would you want to be on?
Oh, not that one. Not that one. So I wouldn't want to be on that. I think I'd like to do like probably a cooking competition of some sort, one where like they just, I know there's somewhere it's like America's Worst Cooks, but I'm not a bad cook. So
She's a fantastic.
or Nailed It, like Nailed It might be fun because they give you something and then you try to recreate it. I think I'd be good at that.
Okay.
I think that would be fun and challenging. And I know enough about baking and decorating. I could probably be pretty good.
You'd be great at it. You're very good. She's a very good cook.
So that one then.
That one.
Yeah.
That would be the one.
What would you do?
Oh, I'd be good at the psychological ones, I think.
Lots.
I feel like either Traders or like I think I'd be okay on Big Brother.
Yeah.
I have a good social game. I'd rock the social game.
Oh yeah, I think you'd be.
Everybody would love me. So
I feel like everybody would love me for 3 days. And then on about day 5, how many are you in there? Lots, isn't it?
oh, on Big Brother, it's like 95 days or something.
Day 4. Day 4, we run out of coffee. Let's just say that.
Okay, so it used to be that the smokers would have to pack. They only got as many cigarettes as they, and it was funny because I mean I don't know if they still do it, but I haven't seen them run out of cigarettes in a while. But they would run out inevitably, and they'd start like bartering for other people's cigarettes, and it was like it was wild
Intense.
to see how different their personality was. Like they're basically forced into quitting smoking.
Yeah.
At this point, and it's like, do I want to stay on the show? How much do I want that $500,000? Because I really want a cigarette. And it's like, whoa,
Now
that's brutal.
Now I could make it without the coffee, but I would be in self quarantine from the other people.
It would not be great.
It might not be so good. So probably not that.
I vote to evict myself. Give me a
There's a coffee shop. Where is it? But so we'd love to hear from you guys. Like, first of all, have you ever been on a reality show? Maybe you have.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be
I know
awesome.
Bethany almost made it onto one. And my sister has applied for one and is in, like, I can't go into details.
But so tell us if you've tried out for one, or if you've been on one, and we just want to know what your favorite one is. Like, this is your opportunity to.
I'm always
tell
looking
us
for recommendations for TV shows, reality or not.
Yeah.
But
post yours.
Yours, please.
Down below. Look, I'm using it like in the comments.
Look at down there.
Comments.
That's if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening,
pointing down right now,
which doesn't mean anything to you because there won't be anything down below what you're listening.
But just imagine it with your creativity.
Imagine, use your little.
So, do you want to do some something we like to do at the end? Is just our little rapid fire questions. Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Oh God, now I volunteered and I don't know. Okay. On pancakes, do you prefer to have syrup or jam?
Peanut butter and maple syrup.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You added one.
I know.
Okay, good job.
I don't want just maple syrup. I honestly won't eat it if it's just maple syrup, which is weird.
Maple syrup with 4 pounds of butter soaked into the pancake disc that soaks in 4 pounds of butter.
Do you know what my favorite is? It's French toast. You put a lot of butter on, and then you put powdered sugar and cinnamon, and the way that the butter sops up the.
Yeah.
Why do you always make me hungry?
I don't know. We always talk about food.
That's so funny because my first question was going to be a breakfast one for you as well.
Well, do it.
So should I switch it? Okay. Favorite way to order eggs?
Oh, I get them over medium because I like same. I like them where there's a little bit of goo, but not runny. The white has to be cooked. So, but I still want just that little bit of goo. I want that egg goo. Okay. So let's try to do a non-food related one. All right. If you had an option to have a weekend,
I love where this is going.
Adventure getaway with Jason Momoa or
that one.
Hold on.
Don't say Jeff. I swear to God, Shelly.
$2 million.
Oh, shit.
Which would you pick?
Oh, my God. A weekend away with Jason Momoa or $2 million. I can't choose. I really can't. I am stumped. For the sake of marriage, I'm going to...
Are you listening, Jason Momoa? You're stuck. I mean...
Sake of marriage, I'm saying $2 million. Final answer. I'm so sorry, Jason Momoa. It might be Jason Momoa. I don't know. Oh, my God. That's like Sophie's choice. That's brutal.
I know. Oh, I'm evil.
Okay. Okay. If you were an article of clothing, which one would you be and why?
I'd be a bra because I'm very supportive.
Oh, right. A bra because she's supportive.
There we go. I like to support my friends. So there you go.
Unless you make them choose between $2 million and Jason Momoa. That's not solid friendship.
I'm her evil friend.
Yeah.
Evil supportive friend. So you guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you liked this episode, and we're sure you did, why wouldn't you give us a 5-star rating?
Yeah, I would love that. And share us with your friends. We're a new podcast, so we would love if you would share us with your friends. And if there are any topics that you want us to talk about, feel free to drop us a note. Until then, ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.
That's a wrap on this episode. If you laughed, related, or just need more, hit subscribe.
Check out the show notes to find us on socials and YouTube, and join our Patreon for exclusive extras.
And remember,
we're still hot, just in flashes.